Aho, brethren of the axe. Changed it up on you guys there. How's everybody doing? It's Sunday afternoon, and just working on this handle here, this 18-inch hewing hatchet handle that's going up to my buddy Kevin on next week, hopefully. So got to get it done before it goes out. But yeah, I'm just gonna do a little bit more of a kind of shop ramble video here today. My wife and I are going on a trip down to the Caribbean at the end of the month, and I'm gonna have to pre-record a video to release that week. So this might be it. So yeah, I'll just be kind of taking you guys along on carving this handle here, and maybe we'll do the whole thing, maybe we won't, I'm not sure, but yeah, just kind of come along and see my process or my lack of process. But anyways, hope everybody's 4th of July was good. We had a pretty all right 4th of July. We recently just put in a new pool in the house, and got a lot of use out of that this weekend. Spent a lot of time, you know, swimming with our daughter, so that was cool. I'm trying to think of what else. Our dog is like deathly afraid of fireworks, so I had to sleep on the floor with her the past 2 days, just petting her to get her to finally go to sleep. So that's no good, but what are you gonna do? Yeah, just bouncing around as usual, back and forth from different different tools. And the tools that I'm working with are just the Shinto Rasp, a 4-in-hand. I got my lion head restorations, metal bodied Spokeshave, and I've got my two wooden Spokeshaves here. So, you know, just bouncing around back and forth. Cut this out on the bandsaw the other day, and this is like 6/4 white oak. I was thinking maybe to laminate some palm swells on here, but honestly, it's pretty thick. I feel like if I laminated palm swells on here, it would just be kind of unusually thick in the palm swell. So I think we're just going to keep it one cohesive piece of wood. And it's what is it? About 10:10 in the morning. I'm just out here trying to get this work done before it gets ungodly hot. It's already 90 degrees, but it's a good cup of coffee right there. But the shop is actually cooler right now at this point of the day than it is outside. So figure I'll try to get some work done on this right now before it starts to heat up, and then maybe I'll come back in here tonight and finish her up. So yeah, anyway, this is, like I said, this is going up to a buddy of mine up in Connecticut. My buddy Kevin from Bit and Bark is his YouTube channel. And he just started his YouTube channel, I guess about a week or so ago. But you guys should go sub to him, because he's going to be doing a whole lot of build videos. And I think he's going to try to do some chopping videos. And we were talking about too possibly doing, I think the word that I used was axe science kind of videos, where, you know, he was taking a look at some different, you know, different aspects to like the forging of some heads and things like that, and maybe like why certain things tend to, you see more wear on and stuff. So, but for sure, go check him out, because he's a good dude. He does really good work, and he's got an eye for you know, really, really fine axes. He's relatively new to the axe restoration game, but you wouldn't know it by the work that he's doing and the eye that he has, as far as, you know, picking out nice heads and, you know, good handle makers and stuff like that. So really doing some good quality builds. But at the time of this taping here, I know at a minimum he's got a main axe video that's up on YouTube right now. He picked up a couple nice main axes from a buddy of ours, and I believe the one that he did was a Catco, either a 2.5 or a 2 3/4 pound, maybe, or maybe it was a 3.5, 3 1/4. I can't remember, but nice old main pattern Catco. And he put it on, I believe it was a 26-inch octagonal Liam Hoffman handle, and it just looked awesome. And hopefully by the time this is going out, he's got some more good builds up there. But yeah, we're heading down to Jamaica. What? Less than 2 weeks. So hopefully that'll be a good time. Not hopefully, that will be a good time. So I did use my I used my Drawknife here to do the rough shaping on this handle, and I tuned it up a little bit more. Had it tuned up a little bit more with some additional stropping and what else? Oh, I put some sandpaper, some super fine grit sandpaper, and kind of hone the edge in just a little bit more. But yeah, it's working pretty good now. I think I need to develop my Drawknife technique just a little bit more. But one of the commenters had mentioned when I did the restoration video on the Drawknife that, you know, my technique was a little bit off, and he had made some suggestions, and I kind of took those and ran with them. But before, I was kind of just pulling down on one, you know, one plane here of the Drawknife, and he had mentioned to kind of slice, start from the right and work your way down to the left, kind of, and that seems to be working pretty good. But I've got this relatively thinned down now, and the last thing I want to do is tear out a big chunk, so I'm gonna just leave that for now. And this has still got a long ways to go as far as thinning this handle, but the rough outline of it, the rough outline, as my dog would say, is there. You know, a big part of these handle carving processes are just kind of reading the grain too. And I'm not an expert by any means. I've probably got about 40 or so under my belt at this point. So I've done enough to know a little bit about what I'm talking about, but especially when you're using these bladed stock removal tools, you know, the Spokeshaves and the Drawknives and stuff, you've got to be really careful when it comes to tear out. And you could feel right away when you start drawing down whether you're hanging up on grain and risking tearing out. So a lot of times when you watch me, usually what I'll do is I've kind of developed a habit of, you know, doing a pull stroke when it behooves me. And since I don't have a shave horse, it's not super easy to keep flipping. So I've kind of developed a pretty decent technique of kind of doing pull strokes and then turning it around and doing pull strokes and reading the grain a little bit. But anyways, back to this trade that I'm working on. I'm very excited about this trade, actually. So I am sending up to Kevin this handle for a keen cutter that Ryan over at Lionhead Restoration very generously hooked him up with. And I am also sending him up some boys axes because he doesn't have, he's got a few boys axe handles, but no boys axe heads. So I'm sending him up a good stock of boys axe handles, including this one that I'm pretty excited about. This is a basically unused, I mean, it's been used. I shouldn't say it's unused, but it's in really good shape wood slasher, boys axe, 4 ridge. But that's a great head. So hopefully he's into them. And one thing I'm trying to get him into is the on-stamped heads. I told him there's a lot of, you can get a lot of value out of a Kelly wood slasher or, you know, any of these old unmarked heads. You know, they don't command the same premium, but now I might be speaking out of turn here when I say this, but in my estimation, a Kelly wood slasher versus a Kelly flint edge or Kelly, you know, World's Finest or Vulcan or anything like that, they all have basically the same profile from what I've seen. I'm not sure if there's any difference in forging as far as steels and stuff go, but honestly, from what I've seen, a lot of it is more so just the stampings and the markings and maybe the level of finishing between the different brands. But, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong. I certainly don't want to be spreading misinformation, but I haven't noticed wood slashers to be any less hard or take any less keen of an edge than a flint edge or a Kelly Perfect. I mean, I understand Kelly Perfects and Fall Cities have bevels, but I'm a big fan of Kelly wood slashers. I as far as value goes, what you can grab a wood slasher for on eBay or, you know, in a Facebook group or something like that, they're a crazy value for a user. And I know I'm not the only one who thinks that. I've talked to a couple different guys who sort of all have the same mantra as me, I think. But I don't know. I'm all about value, honestly. I'm a cheap bastard at heart, so at least when it comes to stuff for me. Yeah, I kind of have like the exact opposite sort of mantra as a lot of guys do, is like when it comes for stuff for me and things that I'm going to keep, like I'd rather have it be something sort of cheaper and, you know, whatever. But man, if I'm going to be building you an axe, I'm going to look for the best possible stamping, best possible head I can find. I don't know. I didn't always have that sort of way of thinking, but as I've gotten older, I've started to enjoy, you know, being more generous, and I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, anyways, as I segue that into, I'm super excited about what I'm getting from Kevin. I don't want to reveal the surprise, but he's hooking me up with a couple different pieces from my collection that I don't yet have, and I kind of need. Well, I guess I don't need them, but be nice to add to my collection. We'll just say that. A nice double bit, true tempered double bit, and it's a line that I have never had before, so I'm very excited about that. And then he's hooking me up with one of his builds, actually. So I'll be happy to get a official bit and bark completed axe ready to swing. So that will be cool. Oop, there goes a coffee cup. Luckily, it was not the one that was filled. Let's see if it broke. No. This thing just fell off the bench and onto a pile of axes and didn't break. It's a good coffee cup. So I'm just kind of working on the sort of undercut here of the palm swell, and I'm using the round rasp part of the 4-in-hand here, the aggressive side. Found a guy locally. It sounded like old retired guy, and he's got a little sawmill that he runs just to kind of pass the time. And the prices that he was talking about as far as board feet were crazy. So I got to go down there and take a look at what he's got. But man, he was talking about like maybe $2 a board foot or something like that for white oak, and I think he was talking about like 50 cents a board foot for pine. I'm like, man, you know, I mean, I'm not making axe handles out of pine, but might make sense to like go up there and get some legit sawmilled lumber for my next project that I'm going to build around the house, you know? Like, that would be cool, is to build like we just put the pool up, and I took a deck down that was there with the old pool, and right off the bat we realized we're going to have to build a new deck because my dog is pissed that she can't get up and hang out in the pool with us. Back when we had the deck, you know, we had the stairs that led into the pool, and she would hang out on the stairs and just chill and, you know, watch everybody swim. And now that she can't get up in there, she kind of just does circles around the pool and barks, and is just generally just pissed off that we're in there having fun without her. So, but I think as far as this summer goes, it's probably a little late to build one. I mean, especially just with my work schedule and everything like that. Plus money too. I mean, money is certainly a factor. The prices of lumber are just outrageous. I went to Home Depot yesterday and bought not even a hose reel, just a metal bracket that mounts on the side of your house to coil your hose around. Bought that, and I bought a quart of black paint to paint something in the backyard, and it was $51. Like, you gotta be shitting me, man. Insane. Whew, it is starting to get hot in here. As I say, as I drink hot coffee. I'm actually kind of digging this pattern. This is a little bit of a amalgamation between I had made this template a while back for a throwing axe pattern. So I kind of kept the lines up top from the throwing axe, and then instead of doing sort of a straighter straighter knob end, kind of worked in a little bit of a fawn's foot, because I know Kevin's, a fan of nice fawn's feet. So, but this is going on a hewer, so I didn't want it to be too crazy curvy, and I don't think he did either. But I'll just be honest with you, I feel like straight handles are harder to carve than handles with a little bit of a curve. That's why I don't usually do double bit handles. I think I've only actually done, I've only actually done one double bit handle. And as a matter of fact, I have a couple double bits that I am going to do handles for, but I think I'm going to do Adirondack handles for them. Now, I had not had much, actually, no, that's a lie. I hadn't had any experience swinging the Adirondack axe handle. I handled a couple, well, I played with a couple at a buddy of mine's house. He had, at one point, a really cool black raven on an Adirondack. Didn't swing it or anything, but, messed around with it a little bit in the shop. And I always thought they were cool. But when I got my package from Ryan over at Lionhead, he had generously hooked me up with one of his personal cruisers on an Adirondack, and I used that thing on the camping trip, and it was awesome. That was actually the first time I had ever bought a double bit on a camping trip, and all in all, it was cool. I liked it a lot. It was a good swinging axe. I mean, the thing cut like a laser. The only thing I miss with a double bit in a camp situation is having a hammer pole for different stuff. Like at one point, I made a couple stakes with some Ys on the end to make a bacon rack to cook our bacon, to cook my bacon with. And I had to just go find a bigger log to pound them in, because I didn't want to bang on the side of the double bit, like flip it sideways and kind of just use that as a pounding instrument. But you know, that was just one instance. But as far as just sheer cutting prowess, yeah, I mean, the double bit, that thing was awesome. For the 2.5 pound head that it had, I mean, that thing definitely would have outcut any boy's axe that I had. So now I know I did that speed run the other day with that little hatchet handle. This is not going to be a speed run. This is going out to a friend of mine, and he's sending me some really premium stuff back. So I want to make sure that I take my time with this and make sure that it's as good as it can be with my level of craftsmanship here. So don't want to use the word perfect because it's not going to be perfect. I don't think you're ever going to get a level of perfection with wood in general. It's just not the kind of medium where perfection is really achievable. But I'm going to try to make it as nice as I can make it. I think I'm going to work on this for just a little bit more off camera here, because quite honestly, I'm kind of out of stuff to talk about. But I will get back to you guys when we're a little bit further along. What's going on, you guys? It is the next night. Didn't wind up getting a chance to go back out and film anymore, but I did get a little bit more work done on the handle. Got it thinned out pretty good, and I'm just going to work now to finish up here the tongue and on the undercut here, and try to square off this tongue just a little bit. This is going in a hewing hatchet head, so I'm assuming we don't need such a thick, wide tongue here. Get it chucked up. So I just want to take just a little bit of thickness off this handle, mostly here up at the top. Pretty good thickness all the way around. And then I'm going to just go in right at the end here and throw just a bit more of a flare at the palm swell. Now this is 6/4 stock that I started with here, so it's not going to have a crazy exaggerated palm swell like some of the other handles I've done in the past, but it should have a pretty generous palm swell. And now that I'm getting towards the end, I'm getting a little bit more careful and checking a little bit more often, because we're getting to the point now where if I take a little too much off, it's going to be difficult to adjust. So the margin for error is definitely getting lower and lower the closer you get to the finish line. Now here at the end, I'm going to kind of steer clear of super aggressive stuff like this, you know, like the big farrier's rasps, and you know, I wouldn't even dream of putting a Drawknife to this at this point, and even to a certain extent the Spokeshave, just very short, light strokes, because even a Spokeshave, you can hog off a good amount of material if you're not careful and you get a little overzealous. And again, I do everything by eye. I don't really use measuring implements or, you know, any marking gauges or anything like that. So suffice to say, my handles are not completely perfect. But I think, as we discussed earlier in this video, just the nature of woodworking in general, it's very difficult to achieve perfection. So, and really, as long as you just keep on checking often with your hand, if it feels right, it is right, in my opinion. So you guys can see, you know, it's not perfect. It's not 100% perfect, but I think I'm gonna take a little bit off, try to get a little bit more shape to the palm swell on this side. Come here. What are you doing? Oh, there she is. Oh, there's this girl-eating hound doggy. Oh, huh? What are you getting into? No eating shavings either. Go ahead. Yeah, this dog has been an absolute menace for the past two years and maybe 10 months or so. And over the last maybe 3 or 4 months, she's finally started to calm down. I probably mentioned it in previous videos, but she's a German short-haired pointer, and they're just known to be very, very high energy, high-strung dogs. And we kind of just fell in love with the breed, and we got her, and we instantly realized, whoa, boy, this is going to be a lot of work. But it's worth it because she's a great dog. She's very sweet. And she's just a very striking dog, too. I mean, not that you should pick a dog based on, you know, how good or bad they look, but I can't walk this dog without people stopping me and asking me, oh, what kind of dog? Oh, what a beautiful dog. Or I get into so many different discussions with people who, you know, either they've had experience with the breed or they have friends or somebody that has experience with the breed. So it's kind of cool. People will stop you a lot and ask you questions. And usually the first thing I tell somebody when they say, oh, I'm looking into getting a German short-haired pointer, I always tell them, have you had one before? And if they say no, I say, really do your research. I would strongly advise not getting one. Because the unfortunate fact of the matter is the rescue community for this breed is pretty substantial. Now, we're the type of people that when we make a, you know, what is it? When you make your bed, you lie in it or something like that. But when we fuck up, we we deal with our mistakes. So, you know, we got this dog and she was super high energy, but, you know, we weren't gonna just pawn her off on a rescue or a pound or anything like that, you know, as much as that would have been the easy thing to do. So, you know, we've worked pretty diligently to try to get her trained up. And, you know, the fact of the matter is I just have to take her on several mile-plus walks every day. And somebody just has to be out in the backyard with her, throwing the ball and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's not a bad thing. I attribute a big credit to this dog for helping me lose a ton of weight. She kind of holds me accountable more than anybody as far as making sure I get up off my ass every day and, you know, get 10,000 steps in, taking her for a walk. So as much as she is a bit of a pain in the ass, I do owe her a debt of gratitude for what she's helped me achieve. Yeah, that is feeling good. That is feeling good. Now, I don't usually sell handles. I mean, this isn't Kevin isn't buying this, but I usually don't send handles out. Handles are usually something that I make and use for me. And part of the reason why is not so much that I don't have a lack of, or I don't, you know, I'm not. It's not that I'm not confident in my handles. It's more so that when you put a labor of love into something like a handle, the last thing you want to do is pack it up and send it away to somebody else. So tremendous respect for a lot of these guys that are carving these beautiful handles and then boxing them up and shipping them out. Because even though I am getting some really rad stuff back in this trade, I'm looking at this going, this would put this, you know, I got my own hewing head that I would like to put on this boy. So, what did I say, 10 minutes? I had 10 minutes left on this handle? Yeah, right. Let's see where. Let me talk about reading grain. That is tear out city right there. Luckily, we got a lot of meat to work with, but there we go. Yeah, it's cutting nice. And there's just the littlest bit of slope there. And the problem I'm having is I can't come at it that way because I'm going to get tear out. But it's difficult to start the cut here with the draw knife. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe what if I just get a little cute here and just soft. There we go. And just a tiny more back here. Whew, and it is not cool in here tonight. I'm sure you guys can probably see I am glistening. I am absolutely glistening. I was I was joking back and forth with a buddy of mine. He knows who he is. But I was just saying it's hot as hell in this shed, and I've debated on doing videos working shirtless, but I don't want to get flagged for having boobies in my video, so I will keep my top on. You can all thank me with a like or a sub for keeping the top on. Cool. I think this handle strikes a really nice balance of being straight for the most part, but then a really nice comfortable fawn's foot, you know, if he ever decides he does want to do some chopping or maybe some splitting or something with it, but straight enough for the most part to do some hewing, both one-handed and two-handed. Maybe just a tiny bit more off this one side. Almost did it again. Almost sent this thing flying again. It's funny, the rough shaping sometimes probably takes less time than the actual finishing does. I mean, especially if you're trying to get it super symmetrical. Once I get the two-dimensional profile down, you know, the template down, if you will, I try very hard to not take much off the back and the belly, because in the past, when I first started creating handles, I found that I was not getting as much of an oval. I was getting more like rounded handles, just because I had kind of developed this habit of going 360 degrees around the handle. So pretty much once you get the profile you like, you know, the 2D flat, you know, side profile, stop taking material off the front and the back. I mean, unless you're looking for more of a round handle. Even after all this time, you know, like I said, I might have done about 40 or so of these over the course of the last couple years. I think I started carving my own. Well, I carved my very first one many years ago. And then I kind of lost interest in carving any because it took me forever and a day to get it done. But I started kind of revisiting that process maybe about 2 years ago or so. Maybe 3 years ago. Maybe it was Easter of 2022. I remember I went down to Easter and I had a hatchet handle that I had finished up. It was my first ever handle. And I remember bringing it to Easter brunch to show my dad. I was so proud of it. And it was a handle that I made. Actually, hold on a second. Do I still have it? I think this is it. This handle here. And I laminated 2 thinner pieces of red oak together and spent I don't know how long on this handle. And I don't know, I just can't bring myself to hang something on it because it's kind of the very first one I ever did. But like I said, did a bunch more after that, and I'm kind of to the point now where I kind of have my process down, learning little bits and tips and tricks every time I carve one. And I would love to do a grain pop, but I don't want to oil this because I'm not sure. That's one thing Kevin was telling me recently, was that he's been buying a bunch of handles off Liam Hoffman handles, and they come heavily oiled. And he was saying that he wished they came, you know, either just plain or maybe with a lighter coating or something like that, because it makes it a little bit more difficult to do some different finishing work on it, which I guess I can see. But I dig it. I like it a lot. I don't really know if I would have done anything differently. You know, and I'm going to send it up there with the block end still on it, but the idea is to slash cut it, you know, something like that. His choice. But, you know, when you drive home, you don't want that sharp end there. That's a good way to chip out your handle. But, yeah, the grain on this is pretty decent. Runs, you know, 90 degrees most of the way. Minimal amount of run out. But yeah, I think this turned out really good. I'm going to go high overhead here, and we'll just take a quick look. All right, guys, so that's it. And like I said, this was 6/4 white oak. And I appreciate everybody coming along with me, guys. And, you know, if you haven't subbed, I would appreciate your sub. And, you know, got a lot more content coming, guys. A lot of content already on the channel. A lot of good stuff out there. But I've got plenty more DIY projects. I've got a couple builds in the mix. But yeah, hit me with the aho in the comments. And if you're not already subbed, do me a favor and sub. And yeah, shoot me a like. And I think in the near future here, guys, we're going to start talking about potentially a 500 subscriber giveaway. And I think I might do a video where I take a poll and ask you guys what you're thinking as far as what you'd like. So that's coming up soon because the channel is growing, and it's all thanks to all you guys. So, you know, again, appreciate everybody watching, and until the next time, keep that axe waxed, folks. Talk to you soon.
I need an intervention, divine intervention, you know. Only in my crucial moments do they pay attention.